Are you concerned about cancer risk from foods? How cancer actually can occur as a result of intake of different foods and beverages, or the risk, or cooking methods? Should you actually be concerned at all, or even how does cancer actually happen, and how does the risk increase, and all those sorts of things? If that's the case, then this series is the right place to be, because we're talking about the risk of cancer from food, should you be concerned, and everything around that space. So g'day, I'm Dr. Philip Button, and this is our second video in this particular series of cancer and food. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll start getting into it. Cancer-causing foods, should I be concerned? That's the title of our series of videos, which we're into the second, number 2 at the moment. So in our first video in this series, we went through the significance of cancer, so the health burden, economic burden, and the different types of cancers, and how important it is as a disease to the world. But now we're into the number 2 video in this series, which is starting off with cancer biology. Then we'll go into the types of, just a bit of an overview, introduction in the types of foods, and the risks that can come from those. So introducing those risks. First of all, though, cancer cell growth. And what we've got across the top it's labelled figure 4A, is how cancer cells actually grow and reproduce. So step 1 is a healthy cell. Step 2, damaged DNA. So in our cells, just during normal living, normal exposure to, what we eat, what's in the air, what's in our, environment generally, we can have DNA damage. So that's quite common, really, that our DNA can get damaged through a whole variety of exposure to different substances. So when that happens, the cell becomes mutated. Step number 3, and what can happen with a mutated cell is that the growth of it can be out of control, so it can be unchecked, which is step number 4. And in that particular case, you have those mutated cells actually growing in number. So, it starts off with 1 mutated cell, step 3, then they divide, step 4. Then once they start increasing in number, and if it becomes an uncontrolled growth, then that is what's referred to as cancerous cell growth, which is step 5 and beyond, really. So what I want to do now, just moving things around on the screen a bit. Now, down below, we've got loss of normal growth control. So what normally happens in the body is that cancer cells, originate all the time, really, in our body. But we've got checks in place which can regulate that growth and can ensure that those cells which start don't actually continue their growing. So normal cell division, in the blue figure down below, normal cell division, you can see where cell damage can occur, and in that particular case, you get what's called apoptosis. So if there's damage, you can either have repair or no repair to the DNA, to the cell. If you've got no repair, so meaning that it's actually the mutation is beyond the repairing stage, then you get the cell going through what's called a programmed cell death, which is apoptosis, because it's a danger to itself, other cells, its progeny cells, and it won't actually function properly. So it goes through a series of biochemical processes which essentially kill it off. And that's part of the normal growth control that happens during normal cell division. But cancer cell division, we've got down below the second part, and you've got the stars, the red stars, are the mutations. So we've got first, second, third mutation. So these are the cancer cells that have started mutating, and because there's no normal checks in place to program the cell death or to repair, the mutations just keep on going. And it gets to the stage where you have the uncontrolled growth of those cells, which is cancer, cancerous growth of cells. So remember that, basically, main thing to remember from this slide is that cancer is a normal occurrence that keeps arising during the body, but also what is normal is the body's normal defenses to keep that cancerous cell growth in check. So there's normal procedures which so-called nip it in the bud so that you don't have cells growing out of control. But when those growth controls are not present or not functioning properly, then that's when the cancer cells can continue growing, and that's when cancer will take hold. The p53 gene is really important, and as we can see here, we've got the normal. Sorry, I missed. I was just trying to move things around on the screen. So we've got up the top normal p53 gene. So stage one, as we've seen from the previous slide, we've got DNA, which is caused, DNA damage, which is caused by heat, radiation, or chemicals. So, being out in the sun, for example, that sort of thing. You have a mutation, and then we can have two different kinds of scenarios. So the top one, we've got the cells which grow with DNA being repaired, whereas down below we've got the p53 gene, also in its normal state, which is destroying the cells which are beyond repair. So basically we've got DNA that is damaged through any number of chemical or other substances, UV light, chemicals, and so on. You have a mutation in the DNA. That mutation can either be repaired, and the growth of the cells can continue, almost as normal, or the p53 gene can trigger the destruction of those cells which have the damaged DNA, which is beyond repair. So p53 gene is absolutely essential, absolutely critical in keeping in check these damaged, mutated cells with mutated DNA. But what we have down below in the second half, the below half, we've got abnormal p53. So again, if we have cells with damaged DNA, then the p53 gene, or the protein from it, fails to stop cell division and fails to repair the DNA. So the cell divides without repair to its damaged DNA. So that means the cell is actually dividing with its damaged DNA. Some of those damaged cells with mutated DNA won't become cancerous. So we've got the first three there. First three which are not cancerous, but some of them are cancerous. So they can, the mutation can result in their uncontrolled, unchecked growth. And without the p53 protein there to, essentially keep that under control, what you can have is the cancer, establishing, generating, progressing out of control. Now, So that's a bit about cancer biology, how cancer actually happens, the role of the essential role of the p53 gene, and consequently the protein. Now, what we want to do in the slide on the next two is just to introduce about foods and their types of cancer risk. So this is out of the World Health Organization, which I think was 2016, something like towards the end of 2016, where they came up with these definitions of what is carcinogenic and what isn't in terms of food. So processed meat, they've defined as definitely carcinogenic. So that's all your hams and sausages and bacons and even these lapchang, Chinese sausages and salamis and so on are definitely carcinogenic. So on the other hand, we've got red meat, which is probably carcinogenic. So the link is not as strong, but it probably is. So these are red meats, especially beef, but beef and lamb and horse and goat and veal and those sorts of things. And so those are probably carcinogenic, whereas processed meats are definitely carcinogenic. So they're definitely going to increase your risk of cancer. And you can see the figure in the middle, which says number one. There's 2 points there, number one, number two. So if you eat 50 grams of processed meat a day, or for every 50 grams you eat, it's going to increase your risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. So it's definitely going to happen, and it remember, it's not cancer risk overall, it's certain cancers, and colorectal cancer is the main cancer that is likely to eventuate from eating these carcinogenic foods. So 18% with every 50-gram portion daily. And down below, just introducing how cancer is actually caused. So, these are specific chemicals that arise as a result of the curing, smoking process, the preservatives that are related to nitrites, nitrates, and so on, and also the cooking process. It's got polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that arise from the high temperatures during cooking, and then the make sure I pronounce it correctly, heterocyclic aromatic amines, which eventuate as a result of the normal processing procedures for processed meat. So that is how cancer is caused as a result of these particular meat products. Now, alcohol causes cancer in a range of different areas of the body. As you can see, it's most likely in areas which the alcohol will come into direct contact with. So, you're drinking the alcohol. So, of course, the mouth, upper throat, esophagus, larynx. These are all the organs of the body where the alcoholic drink will pass. Liver, bowel, of course, that is all in contact with the alcohol, but breast cancer as well. So, you can see breast cancer is a significant, type of cancer that will result from alcohol consumption. So, first thing that comes to mind is, imagine if women considerably reduced or eliminated their alcohol consumption. Just think, how much cancer could we reduce if women stopped, or at least drastically reduce their alcohol consumption. Just something to think about there. So processed meat, red meat, alcohol, fairly clear in their link to cancer. But what we've got here is milk, dairy milk, bovine milk, and linked to prostate cancer. So this is definitely not very strong at all. The World Health Organization has not included milk on the carcinogen list because the results of various studies are really quite inconclusive. The link is weak, and in the yellow highlighted part there, it says many studies have noted a positive association between milk consumption and prostate cancer. but in other studies, it wasn't observed. So the association was not observed. So it's really, quite unclear, and it may be in fact related to calcium. So what I wanted to do in this particular, basically that wraps up our second video on this series, so introducing cancer biology, how cancer actually happens, normal growth of cells, how DNA, damage of DNA results in mutated cells, which can result in cells that grow unchecked, and the essential and absolutely fundamental role of the p53 protein and subsequent p53 gene and the protein in actually limiting and restricting and eliminating the growth of cancer cells, so mutated cells that become cancerous through unchecked growth. Then second half of what we covered in this video was about the carcinogenic meat and alcohol, which are pretty clear, but also introducing the idea of bovine milk and cancer, which is really not clear at all. So that's the second video in our series. Thanks very much for listening. I'm Dr. Philip Button from the Food Entrepreneurship Academy, and would really love if you can subscribe to our channel and check out this other video that I've got up here on the screen as well for some other interest you in viewing. And if you love our videos, then please subscribe. We'd love to have you on as one of our subscribers. So thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you again on one of our upcoming videos. Thanks very much. Take care and see you around. Bye.